So almost all of the dialogue around climate change is fraudulent. And that's why many of us think, "Oh, everyone away from a microphone who knows about this stuff, so that's not achievable." In fact, the recent data from the European Copernicus project says we already probably exceeded 1.5 degrees centigrade of warming.
Yeah.
And so 1.5, I would argue, is virtually impossible. 25% per annum, not achievable at a global level. For 2 degrees centigrade, it's still between 7.5% and 8% every year. During COVID, we managed a reduction. The peak of COVID was about a 5% reduction in carbon dioxide emissions, basically fossil fuel, across the year for 1 year. We're talking about 2 percentage points higher than occurred during the absolute peak of COVID every single year from the start of this year to get to zero emissions.
Jesus.
So almost all of the dialogue around climate change is fraudulent. The challenge is far, far more onerous than virtually almost any academic or expert will talk about, certainly policymaker, when you put them in front of a microphone. And the reason we've got to that position is because our leaders, and indeed some of the experts, have chosen to fail on climate change for 30 years. Since Paris to today, we've emitted about, well, zero point 0.4 of a trillion tons of carbon dioxide, and emissions are still going up every single year. Every single metric on climate change is pointing in the wrong direction. That's the only time you start to move in the right direction. And that needs to be at least 7 to 8% every single year, starting this year. And we know we have to reduce emissions at 7 to 8% every single year for 2 degrees centigrade of warming. And 2 degrees centigrade is not safe. 2 degrees centigrade is probably a very, very dangerous temperature to actually head towards. And by the time we get there, it's likely we will have hit some of these tipping points in between 1.5 and 2 degrees centigrade.